your organization is named the Heritage Foundation, because you understand that our glorious heritage is the foundation of everything we hope to achieve. Which is why we need the help of the Heritage Foundation and everyone here tonight to get our tax cuts through the House, through the Senate.
This plan is about institutionalizing Trumpism. So, because I also know you all, you're not just the president of the Heritage Foundation, you're also president of the Heritage Action, which is the political action committee. And so, is it tied to Trump or not?
I said the context for that comment to the New York Times was that the work of the Heritage Foundation was to institutionalize Trumpism. Trumpism as a new version of conservatism, a conservatism that recognizes that by every objective measure, the United States is weaker in 2024 than it was in 1984. We also happen to think that's reversible, by the way. We're ultimately optimists. And by institutionalizing Trumpism, what we're saying is that even though we are known as Ronald Reagan's think tank, I'm a son of the Reagan Revolution, I'm very proud of that, that's 40 years ago, and we need to understand what time it is in America. And right now, Donald Trump, whether someone likes it or not, I happen to like it, is the standard bearer for conservatism.
Well, Michael, what time is it?
Well, yeah, I don't think it's time for Trumpism in that regard, because one of the things that, as a lifelong follower and participant in Heritage, having spoken at various times there in the roles that I've played in the party, I see this as a dramatic shift away from those Reagan-esque principles when you have someone like Trump who has advocated some of the things he has.
We've been working with all of them on one project since soon after Joe Biden took the oath of office, before any conservative presidential candidates had even entered the race. As my friend and colleague Paul Dans before talked about briefly, our Project 2025 has developed a comprehensive policy agenda, but even more importantly, recruiting people, 20,000 people to go into the next administration, hopefully to help take back this country for you and for your audiences. We want no credit. We want the American people, if President Trump is elected again, President Trump and his administration, to take credit for that. But it will also be a great sign, if all of this is successful, that in fact, as we know in our prayer time, but maybe not every time when we're watching the news, that the Lord is still smiling upon America.
The issue we had when we first won is we weren't staffed up. We didn't have enough MAGA-type people that have been trained. James, tell us what you're doing at Heritage. You two are now working together. These guys have come up with a plan that on the victory, the third victory, the second term, we hit the deck plates runner, right? There's 4,000 appointees by a president, 4,000 to run the entire government. 1,000 of those, I think, have to be Senate confirmed. But 3,000 can start work day one. Walk through what you guys are doing. I know, and I keep asking, do you work for Johnny or does Johnny work for you, right? But
I definitely work for John. So what we're doing with Project 2025 is we're recruiting the MAGA America First Republicans right now so that we can take DC by storm in 2025. We're not going to go in like we did in 2017, where the establishment took over and co-opted much of the personnel of President Trump's administration. We're more prepared this time. We're recruiting grassroots conservatives, and we want all of you, if you want to serve in the next White House, next State Department, next Pentagon, we want you to sign up. Tell your sons, tell your daughters, tell all your friends. It's project2025.org.
So Johnny, okay, you heard that? If you guys want to serve, you've got to get engaged now. You've got to be involved now, because one of the big parts of this is networking. It's not just training people up, but those networks that we do with grassroots organizations, with other organizations. Walk through, tell me what the plan is.
So we're collecting resumes. We're getting as much information as we can now to save the transition time on the back end. As you know, when a president wins, or president-elect wins, things happen very quickly, and you have a short amount of time to staff an entire administration. It's also looking beyond the 4,000 and what we can do with the bureaucracy itself. So we're thinking of creative policy things as well that will integrate with this.
Well, hold it. When we talk about that, let's talk about schedule. I mean, is there going to be a plan in place to start to take apart the administrative state?
There has to be, and yes, there will be. The next president, if President Trump gets back in there, he needs to reorient the government that's in a way that hasn't been seen since Franklin Roosevelt did it with the New Deal. We need to gut these agencies. We need to start from scratch. We need to make a new government, essentially, because the one that we have now doesn't work for conservatives. It wasn't made for us. It's built against us. So we have to go back to the drawing board with these agencies.
Johnny, you've seen on the inside. Let's give it up. Is that what we want? Woo! Okay, but I'm going to ask the practical question. You've been on the inside about how vast this bureaucracy, the administrative state is massive. It's more than the 2 million. They say, well, there's 2.5 million government employees, but there's 16 million contractors. So there's an 18 million man workforce right there of some of the most highly educated, but also they're maniacally focused on keeping the administrative state. So tell me, how are we going to start to take it apart? If you got 16 million contractors, 2.5 million, we've got 3,000 day one, and you know they're going to fight every Trump appointee for confirmation is going to be a dogfight. So how are we going to take apart the administrative state?
It's finding the people that can run each agency and dismantle it one by one. What else, James? What do we want to do?
I think we want to do mass government layoffs. Yeah.
Hold it. I think Mediaite just got its headline. Hold it. Okay, is that a fantasy or is that reality?
It's a reality. President Reagan's director of the Office of Personnel Management fired over 100,000 bureaucrats using reduction in force exercises. So you can't fire a civil servant because they have civil service protections, right? But you can eliminate their position.
Take away the billet?
It's a way of eliminating the building, eliminating the position. So it's a way of firing them. But we can do stuff and get creative.
Conservatives exist to conserve the ideals of the American founding.
These ideas are actually the source of our recovery. On January 20th, when the president puts his hand on the Bible, everything changes.
Our goal is to ensure that the conservative administration that takes office in January of 2025 is ready on day one.
The next conservative president will only be able to do so with your help.
I'm the president of the Conservative Partnership Institute, vice president of Hillsdale College,
the head of the Office of Justice Programs,
assistant secretary for public affairs,
senior advisor to the president,
assistant press secretary.
You're here to cut government. You're here to do something that's not in their interest.
The deep state is real. You want to be someone who knows answers.
As a public servant, you're working on behalf of the American people, the greatest country on the planet.
It's your job to ensure that that power is executed responsibly and in line with the president's will.
This is your chance to truly make a difference.
We're glad you're joining us.